Oh, great. That was a subtle dig. Sorry about that.
Oh, I guess it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Let me get through this week, Mike, and life will get back to semi-normal, or as normal as my life ever is. Okay, so YouTube is up and live, gentlemen.
it is. I see it.
Just so you know.
I see it.
Where's the chat? Mike, great of you to make. So glad you made it. You were
Yeah,
able
me
to
too.
figure out Slack and everything.
It only took me 3 tries to get into it.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I never use it. I never use
Okay.
it. I didn't know what email address I had signed up for.
No.
So I was like rolling through 5 different email addresses till I finally found the one that worked.
Is that why I kept getting that? Somebody's trying to hack your Slack. It's like,
We see you, Brian. Only got an hour with us.
I was saying 2 hours.
Is it 2 hours? 7 your time is 9.
Let's see, it's almost 5.
Oh wait,
now.
are you an hour ahead of us or 2 hours ahead of us, behind us? I mean,
I think right now I'm 2.
you're Pacific time.
Yeah, we're on Arizona's on Pacific right now. Sometimes on Mountain, but right now Pacific.
Mountain during standard time, right?
I think so.
So
I always
you
use
have
the
to-
wrong terminology because we don't switch.
So 10 p.m. Eastern, so you're good.
Oh yeah. Okay. If you need to cut out, if anybody needs to cut out earlier, just give me just a little notice, and I'll let you do a graceful exit and plug yourselves. So where do we start? We have so many interesting things to talk about.
Yeah, you're catching up from some of us already covered.
Yeah, I know.
There's a few of them we covered last week. That's okay.
Yeah, when we put this group together, you just never know what's going to come up.
That's right. It's all that heavy advertising I've been doing for MacStock.
Yeah. I think we should
Hey,
all
I
get
just
back.
signed into Slack again. Look at that. I'm getting to be an expert at this.
Oh my God. I think we should all get Mac stock tattoos this year.
There you go.
You first.
Catch me getting any tattoo, no matter what it is. I bought that gosh darn microphone for this headset, and I can't find it now. It's somewhere in this room. I can't believe it. I was looking for it. I was looking all over for it. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to have this here now as a backup. Now, if this ever fails, I can have it fail safe now.
Did I just hear you say you bought a new microphone and you can't find it?
A microphone for this headset. This is the Rode. This is the Rode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
They added an accessory headset to it.
Hello,
Mornings,
Webb.
Hello,
like I
hello.
haven't seen you in like forever.
Well, between Chuck's schedule and my schedule, it's been kind of hectic. So,
Yeah.
hey, before we get going, David, I want to ask you a question. What do you know about SASE or SASE, S-A-S-E?
Oh, SaaS, service as a service. What is it? I was dabbling in it in the Apple user group. I was looking at it.
We are adopting that platform that supports that. So,
Yep. So you're talking about SaaS, S-A-A-S.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Software.
not software as a service. No, this is a. I don't have it's something service edge. It basically does away with the VPN, and it takes the security from the VPN level and takes it down to the user level. That's fundamentally what it is. So.
Yeah, we could talk offline.
Talk
I-
online like that.
I
Bless you,
stumped
Jeff.
the Ginsburg.
Like
No,
that.
I gotta look at it a little closer. I'm not gonna know everything. Gosh,
Yeah, you are.
far from it.
But between you and Gamut, I count on you guys, man.
Well, there's an earthquake
no
going on
pressure.
at Jeff's place.
No pressure at all.
How you doing, Jeff?
Good to
I'm
see you,
doing
Jeff.
all right.
Good.
It's
Okay.
Secure Access Service Edge. There you go. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Good to be here. It's been a while.
Sure
It
has.
has been. It has been.
Oh, is this a Palo Alto? You talk the web?
Excuse me?
Is it a Palo Alto product?
No, it's not. We went with another one. I'd just soon not say which one, but
Yeah, we are
Wonderful.
live.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you having IT problems or something?
no, we're just changing our access platform from a VPN to something else. So
Say no
Okay.
more.
And is it working or is it overtime?
no, I I don't know yet. I just approved it yesterday at executive committee. So
Oh, okay.
So it better be.
Yeah.
Better be.
Yes.
Mark, you're like up here.
Stop slouching, Mark.
yeah,
Jesus.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and embarrass myself. Who is Harry Belmont? I don't recognize the name.
Belafonte?
Oh, it says
that's not what it says.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let me. I've got to go.
Typo.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I thought that I wondered about that. I thought, that
Wait,
looks
wait,
like Harry Belafonte, but okay.
I knew what
Yeah.
I knew what he was. I knew exactly who it was because I know he passed away today. And
All right.
Yeah.
So
the
the deal
name
is
is wrong.
Mark writes some really weird fanfic, and we should just drop it right there.
Mm.
Okay. So, yeah, what can you say?
Yeah, it's like I think that's Harry Belafonte, but maybe he
It
has
was.
a twin brother. I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh,
What a coincidence! Harry
Yeah.
Belafonte and Harry Belmont both passed away this time. Yeah,
yeah.
that's my
Mhm.
business. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be the one to keep track of that stuff, Webb. Mm.
the magic of big numbers.
So are people getting older and living longer?
No, it's just
Uh,
that life sucks, and it feels like it just goes on a lot longer.
Actually, life expectancy has decreased in the last 3 years.
And is that a result of just COVID related things or is there other bad health trends?
I wouldn't just paint it with the COVID flag. I think there are lots of things going on. Increase in diabetes is a big one. And just all kinds of things.
Lead poisoning doesn't seem to be helping.
Nope.
Stress.
Arsenic.
Old lace.
Software developers. Oh, hi, Jim.
Is-
I can't hear you.
I want to know what sort of light kit Jim added to his hat to make it do the flashy green glow thing.
yeah, it looks like he's
That
got
seems to
kryptonite.
be camo.
Yeah, it's almost like a.
No, I can
rain-
still see it, so I don't think it's
Yeah.
it's camo. Oh, that's not what you meant.
I see it. It's kind of like the color spectrum on his hat.
Like an
there-
apparition or something.
There you go. Here. There you go,
That's
Mark.
better, Mark.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's
What
a,
just happened?
Wait,
There's-
don't do it. He'll have a takedown if you play it.
yeah, please.
Okay.
There, I got rid of the
Alright.
green.
I kind of liked it myself. whatever.
Too bad.
It was like you were radiating the force.
It was.
I thought it was like kryptonite woven into his hat. So,
So guys, I've got to run about 6 o'clock my time, so
okay.
don't want
An
to
hour.
be surprised later on if I have to jump. But
Bye.
Okay. So let's get it off the ground then, because we have a lot of things that I threw in, and there's even more.
Yes, okay.
So here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Underpants.
Who are all you people?
I missed that. I missed that. Okay.
I had a feeling you did.
I really did. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, it's funny. It's only been a week, but it seems like 6 months.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Time works really differently now than it did like even 3 years ago.
It seems like it. And I agree, Jeff. It seems like it. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community.
Underpants.
Chuck Joyner. Okay, that was a
That was
delayed
the first-
one, folks.
That was a first.
Jeff
Delay.
must be
Just-
getting old.
That's-
Yeah, we're
Just
having
keeping it fresh, Chuck.
connectivity problems. Thank
That was
you,
just
Jeff.
that was just Zoom.
It's that
Yeah,
week off.
timing's everything, isn't it?
It is.
You can tell, folks, it's going to be a good night. Right out of the box. We don't even get the intro. Oh, so this is Mac Voices Live. In case you couldn't figure that out, we do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, on YouTube at youtube.com/Mac Voices TV. We would love to have you join us. We have friends already joining us in the chat room. I was a little concerned because I was off for a week while I was at NAB, but everybody came roaring back in. So here we go. And in the chat room, I even see Brittany says that she's listening while she packs to go home. So Brittany, get home so you can get here. We miss you. Also want to throw a shout out to our buddy Frank Petrie, who's struggling a little bit with his health again. And so Frank, if you're listening tonight, we're thinking of you. We hope you're doing okay. Hang in there.
Yeah, please.
With that, we've got a lot to get to, so I'm just going to go and we'll start the panel introductions and then get to the topics. So as usual, first in, Seat of the Angels, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to have you.
Good to be here. I'm glad we're back on track doing the Mac Voices Live this week. It's very a lot of great news we can talk about this week, and it's going to be a great show. We got a lot of good panel members. I'm excited here.
Yeah, I'm hoping that now my schedule won't be disrupted for at least another month and a half at minimum. So we should be a lot more consistent than we have been. April was just a weird month.
Yeah, it seems like it. Good to be here.
Eric Bolden is here. This time, though, he doesn't have giant flower petals behind him. He just has sticks.
Goldfinches.
Oh, okay.
They're tiny, but they're little yellow dots in the background. I was trying to be distracting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I was kind of into the idea that you were reaching around behind the petals.
I can still go through the. Let's see, where's the tree? Is it this one?
Oh,
Yeah, I can almost go behind it. It's
Yeah, it
close.
almost looks like you're reaching into the tree. Yeah, okay. I'll go with that. Brian Flanagan Arthurs is here. Brian, it's good to have you. Thanks so much.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
I love you and Webb are the only guys now that wear ties. I'm impressed. Webb's not tonight, but some nights I feel like I need to up my game.
I got to support my sons too. Hopefully they get the win tonight.
Oh, well, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time on Mac Voices Live, we've talked to him on Mac Voice, the regular Mac Voices show, but Mike Potter, Mr. Macstock, is here. Mike, it's great to have you. Glad you could make it.
Always great to be here, Chuck. And, from the best dressed podcast or tech podcaster out there, to compliment someone else on their ties, I think that's a pretty high honor. Me, I'm wearing a hoodie. So,
Well, I've got a quarter zip on today because I'm
It's
afraid
cold.
to say this in front of some of the panel members, but it was kind of cold here today. So,
it is here too.
oh, okay. And Brittany in the chat room says, should she start showing up in a tie? Yes, Britt, definitely. Please do. Please do. Mr. Webb Bixby is here, all red.
Hi, Chuck. Good to be here.
We missed you, Webb. Good to see you. Sounds like your April schedule was like mine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it finished up with my board meeting and executive committee, also called the President's Quarterly Performance Review. So yesterday I had a tie, and about 24 hours ago I was crawling in bed going to sleep, and I slept for about 12, 13 hours. So
wow.
So
well, you obviously needed it.
Yep.
Speaking of sleeping, Mr. Jeff Gammett is here. Not sure what that meant, but anyway.
But I approve of that transition. Well done, Chuck.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
It's good to see you again. I also am wearing a tie tonight, just not conventionally.
That's a picture I really didn't need.
Oh man.
And now you have it.
Oh,
You're welcome.
man. And Jeff, you're the one that I'm kind of afraid to mention it being a little cool here, because it's, from what I saw in the news, it looks like your part of the country may be getting pounded with snow.
Yes, we're in a weird spot at the moment. The weather, as it moved down in, it kind of opened up around us. So Denver and Boulder, we're just getting really cold rain right now. But I can drive like 15, 20 minutes west, and that would be stupid to do, because then I'd be stuck in horrible snow.
Wow.
But it's okay. It may still hit down here too.
Okay. Well, as long as you're warm and dry and safe where you are for tonight, that's good. That's
I
good.
am warm and dry and safe for the moment.
Okay. Jim Ray has joined us as well. He was glowing green a little bit earlier. Now he's not. Jim, good to have you.
Boy, am I relieved. And as Dave said, we've got a lot of great panelists tonight, and me.
Oh,
Nice.
last but absolutely not least, Harry Belmont is here. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. Mark Fuccio is here.
Hello,
Mark.
everybody.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Been a long time, many weeks. So hopefully I have good discussion tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I've until I saw your background, I did not know that Mr. Belafonte had passed away today. That's too bad.
Yeah, I think 96 of congestive heart failure. I mean, he's one of the
Good
all
life.
greats. Born into this utter poverty, and just on skill and hard work alone, made a fortune and made a great career, and helped a lot for civil rights. So he goes down in one of the list of the good guys.
Yeah, he always struck me as a very classy guy, no question about it. So here we go. We've got a lot to catch up on. Some of these are a little bit old, but I definitely wanted to highlight some of them and get the panel's thoughts. This one, though, came from yesterday, and that is that Apple prevailed in its battle against Epic Games.
Great.
Yay.
And I think this will have cascading effect onto one of the other stories that you put in there for discussion.
Okay, good. I'm not sure which one, but good. Yeah, I mean, I read this. Basically, I'm not sure exactly Apple was 100% exonerated, but it's certainly, the way I read it, it was about 95%. And they didn't get tagged with the monopolist label. And the only thing I couldn't tell at this level is if Epic might appeal yet again. I don't know if that's an option for them or not, but
well, it's a lawsuit, right? So there's always an option, to appeal again, whether they want to. But I think in the judgment, basically, Epic's claims about all the evils of Apple's App Store and how they're discriminating against other developers, and Epic in particular, all of those were tossed out. The only thing that was upheld was apparently in California, there's laws regarding how companies can or can't squelch, passing on other consumer. It's sort of motivated by consumer protection of allowing lower cost manufacturers, to share information, and how various media companies, need to not squelch that and pass that on. So that was upheld. Not exactly sure what that means, for Apple, but I'll speculate in a minute. Everything else got slapped down. To me, interestingly, the opinion, and I put that in the our Slack dialogue, and Chuck, maybe you want to put it in the show notes for people who want to read it, because it took me a little bit of time to dig and find it. But reading the court's opinion, they were very sympathetic, to the idea that Apple creating a curated app store that limits, viruses and malware and other things is differentiation. That's part of how they compete. It's not a monopoly. It's just Google lets shit into the schoolyard, and Apple takes a very high standard. And it's a very graphic way to say it. Like George Patton used to say, he says it dirty and loud when he wants people to hear it and understand it and remember it. So, I think the court was very receptive to Apple's arguments that not allowing side loading of apps, etc., is a way that Apple competes and provides value to its end customers. So I think that'll come back again if we talk about some Spotify topics later on. But I think it seems like a pretty clear victory. And also the other thing the court basically turned back down is it said that lower court said that Apple was not entitled to attorney's fees, and it said that it ruled an error, and it passed it back down to the lower court for further work, which basically means mommy and dad are saying you screwed up, son or daughter, you need to go make this right. So we'll have to see what happens, because I can't imagine that's anything less than 50, maybe even $100 million of legal fees that Apple has wasted on this. And given the willful nature and the planned nature by which Epic attacked first Apple and then Google, it sounds like this is them putting them over the knee and good old-fashioned parenting, giving them a good spanking. So over to somebody else.
I would love to see that, Mark, because that to me has always been one of the poison pills that should be put in place, that if you lose decisively, you should have to pay the other guy's legal fees. So I'm hopeful. I'm not sure I'm optimistic, but I'm hopeful that might be the case. It will only hurt Epic so much, but it will hurt them, no question about it. Anybody else have any strong feelings about this one? I mean, it sort of is what it is, but I was happy to see it.
Chuck, I subscribed to Ben Thompson's Stratechery newsletter, and he had a pretty long article on it today. And I don't want to come off as, one, I know what I'm talking about, and two, I've read the whole article, because I have not. But it was kind of interesting that at one point it was a win, but was it really? One of the things that it did do was that it kind of set the ground rules for any other appellate court actions that was determined at the Ninth Circuit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Especially with follow-up suits, and not just necessarily the appeal from the Apple case, but other software vendors and Apple or in App Store type arguments that might come in. It was interesting, though, as I get in here, and I don't want to quote the newsletter, but they were saying that they kind of questioned, based on California's, what do they call it, the California unfair competition law.
Yes.
That through that, whether it is that big a win, it's kind of a push is my interpretation. But so they really won at the federal level, and they kind of got a push at the state level. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. But it's
So Webb,
if-
is it true that the next this is Ninth Circuit Court, that there's only one other court, and that's the Supreme Court, and who knows if they'll take it or not, but it seems that they're pretty far at the end of the line, and they've lost consistently.
Yeah, but didn't you also say? Because again, I haven't read it. I don't want to come off that I know all the details of this one. That there were some things that were pushed back down to the trial court level, or one was pushed down.
That was just legal fees. Whether Epic has to pay Apple's legal fees.
And here again, that could go either way. It all depends on how the court feels. I understand what you're saying, Chuck, is that if you win wholeheartedly, you should have to pay legal fees. But I don't think the courts actually see it that way sometimes. But
Yeah, well,
that's been my experience. So
it was mine too, Webb, unfortunately, but I still think it should be that way. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, I wonder how soon before we hear, Epic start to whine again about, Apple being unfair. And that sort of does lead into, Mark, I think this was the story you were talking about, that I guess Biden has, where is it? Spotify CEO wants Congress and Biden administration to rein in Apple's quote unquote stranglehold on app stores. I mean, what can I say? It really is interesting that we have the same people complaining about the same things over and over and over.
Right. Exactly. I think, interestingly, just so happened, Spotify had, I guess they announced their earnings call. And I woke up this morning, had bright and early, had an email saying there's a Form 10-6, which is basically foreign companies. So I'll just bottom line it, because we talked about this, I think maybe 3 months ago, about how badly managed we felt Spotify was then. I just say another quarter where their revenue was up, like 22%. Their operating expenses were up 36%. So quoting George Patton, these guys are just effing stupid, and they're just trying to delay the. Actually, let me restate that. They're bad management. They're betting on things that are not working out for them, and they're hoping that they can somehow duke Apple, into charging less, because they're purely motivated by money. The reason is that their premium subscribers last quarter on average yielded them $12.91 of revenue, of which they're only like 12%. Their free subscribers, i.e. the ad-supported, only earned $1.04 of revenue for them. And interestingly, if you look at the gross margin, which is profits after cost of producing whatever the good or service is, their premium podcasts have a 28.6 gross margin. Their free their free loaders have a negative 3% gross margin. So 88% of their users are paying them nothing. And Daniel Ek is bitching and moaning that, they're getting screwed by Apple, and trying to confuse the issue about app stores, because that's a broader trend going on around the world. When in the Spotify case, they just have a bad business model. They should just start, Daniel, I'll give you free consulting. Cut off your free users as of, May 1st. You're just grinding up, shareholder, value, and all this other stuff. I think is just a distraction, because I think with what the Ninth Court of Appeals, Ninth District said, Apple having a competitive app store is a source of differentiation, i.e., people voluntarily choose to go into the sticky walled garden from which it may be difficult to emerge in the future, but they're doing that knowingly. And, Spotify just has a bad business, and I'm sure we'll talk again about this 3 months from now when they have their next bad yet another quarter of losses.
Jim, you make an interesting point in the Slack, and I want you to just bring it up because we've been down that road before, but I think it's a very fair point. You're muted, Jim.
Oh yeah, because I was having a coughing fit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we keep hearing from Epic and Spotify because they're companies that have a big megaphone. But there are plenty of small developers with complaints about the App Store. But we just don't hear about them because they're small developers. I think it's kind of unfortunate. Epic was sort of a, probably a poor test case. They're not a very, who wants Epic to win? They're kind of a predatory company themselves. So it's probably unfortunate that this was the case that came up.
I don't know. I mean, I know that you and I don't, and I won't speak for the rest of the panel, but you and I don't particularly, especially agree on some of these aspects of the App Store. But at the end of the day, trying to tag them as monopolists, and I mean, I just go back to the same thing. It's their store, and if you don't like to be in their store, then don't be in their store. But having Spotify complain about it when they're a direct competitor to Apple. In fact, they were there ahead of time. They were there before. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. Before Apple Music as a service.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's Apple challenged them, and Apple took them on, and they've had every opportunity to do some of the things Apple has done, and they didn't. To Mark's point, they have a different business model. It doesn't appear to be working. They've made some big bets on some things, and they lost. They rolled the dice and lost. And I know I've asked
for
this
what it's
question.
worth, I put my money where my mouth is. I don't have an app in the store, in any app stores.
Yeah, and I respect that. I respect that. I know I've asked this question of the group before. Do we have any paid Spotify users?
I used to be. Long story. Spotify's in the Tesla, so I subscribed to it for that. I discontinued it when they could get Apple Music in the Tesla instead. So I did subscribe to it for that very reason, but I haven't renewed it. I let it expire. I did a 1 year thing where you bought the 1 year card off Amazon and then you put that in. Otherwise, you got to pay month to month. So anyway, I did have it. Don't have it anymore.
How long ago or recent was that, Webb?
Within the last 18 months, and it expired within the last 6. So,
Mike, did I see your hand going up?
I was trying to remember if the service that we use for our small retail shop is, if the parent company is Spotify or not. It's called Soundtrack Your Brand. And it's a nice, inexpensive way to license music for retail shops. And it was something that we could afford. And I'm trying to recall, and I can't find it, if they're owned by Spotify or not.
Well, there's another commerce vendor, Shopify, that sounds similar.
Yeah, no, this is Soundtrack Your Brand is what it's called.
Okay.
And it's specifically to license music for play in your store. You're not supposed to stick on a CD or the radio or anything like that. So you license music like Muzak, that's for elevator music. And so we license music to play in the store. And it's, like I said, it's very reasonable for us to do compared to some of the other services. Oh yeah, it is Spotify. Yep. So make your Spotify playlist legal. So you can build playlists within Spotify and then license that playlist for your retail store via Soundtrack Your Brand.
I was going to say,
so
that site looks just like
for
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify bought into them a few years ago. Yeah, So you're right. It's Spotify.
So we're not paying for Spotify. We're paying for Soundtrack Your Brand, but the playlists come by way of Spotify. So in a way we are.
I'd love to know if the artist gets the same level royalties.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah. I don't either. It seems, I mean, it makes a certain amount of sense, because if you're going to do that, you're probably going to be generating a lot more royalties, because you're going to be playing theoretically and almost probably a lot more time.
well, we're playing the same playlist over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's not a game that Apple has gotten into, I don't think.
No.
Much to my wife's chagrin, we're playing the same playlist over and over again. I have to build a new playlist for her, and I haven't done that yet.
All right. Well, again, it's a lot more of the same. The same arguments. I'm not sure we're going to solve any of them, unfortunately, but I know I was glad to see that.
So again, just to kick a dead horse, talking about artist royalties, isn't that another area where Apple is better treating to artists than Spotify? Don't they pay them some multiple dramatically higher per play, per stream, or aggregated to hundreds or thousands of plays, whatever their demarcation unit is? But isn't Apple paying artists significantly more than what Spotify is paying them?
They're paying them more. I don't think it's significantly more, and part of that is dictated by the record labels.
But it seems more generous than what Spotify was doing.
Help me, Jeff. Help me understand that, because that sounds a little funny. So you're saying the record label will tell Apple, you distribute and stream tremendous amounts of music. We'll charge you more per play, or than the other guys. Or are they saying, okay, Apple is saying, we are on the side of artists, and we will pay you more per play than all the others out there?
Well, okay, so Apple has to negotiate licensing deals with the record labels. So unless it's an artist that is not associated with a label and owns their own music.
Taylor Swift, for example.
So, yeah, like Taylor Swift's new stuff. So what Apple has to do is negotiate how much they're paying per play with with each record label, and so Apple, part of their thing was when they set up their streaming stuff initially, was that they wanted to be paying more to the artists, so the artists are getting a higher royalty amount for each play than they otherwise would have. So Apple has worked some deal where the where artists are getting a little bit more, but it's still just fractions of pennies. Yes, it's more, but it's like saying, you're thirsty? Well, here's a drop of water. But wait, I have a friend here who'll give you 3 drops of water.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I mean, that's the nature of the recorded music business, or publishing business. That
Brian just threw something in our chat. Spotify versus Apple Music versus Tidal. Who pays artists more? And according to this, well, Brian, you probably read it more than I did. I was taking a quick look at this, but it looks like definitely Apple pays the most.
Yeah, I didn't. I was just glancing through the article. I was just searching for it myself, and I think that's the indication. But I haven't read about Tidal yet, so I'm not sure how much they pay in comparison to the other two.
Well, the irony is Tidal was supposed to be paying more to everyone. That was part of their thing, and in the end, it doesn't seem that it's worked out that way. And in several cases, artists have actually had to sue Tidal to try and get any money out of them at all.
Oh, cash poor again, a weak business model. Sorry.
And
Well, Tidal's big Tidal had many big problems. Okay, so Tidal was a dumpster fire, but when they screwed themselves out of their own differentiator, that was a big problem, because their thing was, we give you audio quality that's better than anyone else. And when they changed so that they're doing the same thing as everyone else, there was no real differentiator anymore. So why would you use Tidal when you already have Spotify or Apple Music?
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jay-Z was backing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
that's where the money went. Jeff, something I don't know, because I never paid that much attention to Tidal even from the get-go. Did Tidal drop their quality, or did Apple and everybody else raise theirs?
Okay, so the correct answer, which is also kind of a smart ass answer, is yes. So what happened was Tidal added in the music tier at a lower price, which was the same as what everyone else is offering. And then Apple and Amazon and Google Play, they all added in the higher quality content, which then matched what Tidal was offering. But in the case of like Apple and Amazon, you didn't have to pay more to get it. So you're paying what you're paying at Apple, for example, to get all this high-res music is the same as what you're paying at Tidal to have the lower res music. And then you had to pay more to get the stuff that now you can get at Apple and Amazon. And that already took a shaky business model that Tidal was working with and kind of threw it out the window.
Jeff, can I ask Jeff a question about music and high quality? That it may go down a rat hole, and if it's inappropriate, just tell me and we'll do it after dark or something. But I know over the past couple of years, Jeff, you've talked about other external ADC, analog to digital converter boxes, for enjoying higher bitrate music. Also, I know you've also talked about various HomePod devices. What's your current status? Are you listening to some of the high res Apple Music through your ADC to some sort of external speaker?
Yes, and I'm going to be pedantic only because if I don't do it, someone else will. DAC instead of ADC.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
But it was probably friendlier coming from me.
Yeah, Harry Belmont told me that earlier.
And that Harry Belmont, that guy was trouble. So yes, I'm listening to a lot of. I'm streaming high res music every day when I'm sitting at my desk. So right now, the DAC that I'm using, the external DAC, is the Shit Modi 3 Plus. Connected to Audio Engine A5 Plus speakers.
Okay. And as a percent of the music you consume, is that 50, 60, 80, 90? What percent would you say it is?
I'm not always looking at the iTunes window to see if it has the high res icon for each track that's playing. But at this point, I can very confidently say the vast majority of the music that I'm playing is high res, because Apple is continually adding more of their library as high res. So
now, having set this conversation up this way, now for the key question I want to ask, do you notice, so apart from spatial audio, which as far as I can tell is something only Apple is doing, but apart from spatial audio, do you notice a significant difference in terms of enjoyment of high-res tracks, or is it, that sounds good, but it's no better than sort of the standard track?
Music that has been mastered for the higher quality, holy forking shirt balls. It is shocking how much better it sounds. For music that hasn't been upgraded, if you will, to high res, using a quality DAC and good speakers the music still sounds a lot better. So all the way around, I'm just winning because all my music sounds better, and as even more of it goes high res, it just starts like going over the top better.
So what I hear you saying is better quality playback devices, no matter what the source is, you'll have better experience. And then if it's specifically produced, to have a better high res experience, and who knows if that's 1 or 10 or 80% of music. It's certainly not the majority of the legacy catalog out there, but maybe a sizable amount of new recordings.
You'd be surprised at how much legacy is high res now. There's been a lot of work over the past few years to take these masters from all these old recordings and remaster them for high res audio. And I mean, that's the bottom line.
Right.
You need to master for your intended output to have good audio. And that's why when CDs first came on the scene, people were like, why would you buy a CD? An LP is so much better. And they were right, because all they were doing was taking content that had been mastered for LP and dumping it on a CD without remastering. And it just didn't sound good, or as good as it should. So yeah, so if you go and you start looking at what's available in high res on Apple Music today, you'll be surprised at how much I'll call it old catalog stuff is high res now. And for some of these albums, that when they go back and remaster them, I mean, it's shocking just how much more is in the music that you just couldn't hear before, because whatever medium it was being mastered for originally, you would just lose stuff, and it's back in now.
Jeff, yeah, I'll second that, because I mean, my musical tastes are very much not mainstream, and I am constantly surprised at how much has that little lossless tag on it in Apple Music, and but obviously pleased too that it is there. But yeah, it is not necessarily a now going forward, or even just the major hits or the really popular artists. I don't know how or why it's being done, whether it's just that's a way for the artists to make more money, or the labels to make more money. But at the end of the day, we're benefiting from it because we're getting more and more in lossless.
Chuck, have you invested in an external DAC?
I have. Jeff infected me, and I too have the Shitmodi 3 and the A5s that are behind me, and that Jeff has.
One of us.
And I tell you, he's not wrong. It is staggering just how good some of those things sound, as opposed to just an MP3 or maybe a recording that I ripped from a CD. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, Mark, think of it like televisions. So it's TV for your ears. You can have a movie that's rendered super high quality, but if you go out and buy a $100 no-name brand television, the little computer that's inside there that actually renders the signal back for the display is not nearly as good as the little computer that's in the $5,000 television that's like the best on the market. And so the image just doesn't look as good on the crappy television. And with music, it's the same thing. The DAC that's in your computer, I mean, it's fine. It's a good DAC. But when you go to an external DAC, a quality external DAC, that little computer that's in there, the way it's rendering out the music for you gives you a better sounding experience.
Yeah. So, and today, I would think that normally that the vast, I mean, a large number of CDs and things are just have been, just poor quality. Just they have not been mastered very well, which is why when you find one that sounds good, it's really great. because I think for a lot of people, their play, but I won't go there. What I'll say is I remember going to CES, back in the Clinton administration, and going to the the audiophile section, and then there was one company who was making preamps and amps, and they were located in Sunnyvale, which is here in the valley. And we went in and we talked, and they played a variety. They played a jazz piece. They played a classical symphony. They played a sample opera, and they were talking about how great their amps were. And then I asked them, "Oh, that's very interesting, but tell me about your speakers." And we had been there in like maybe 20 minutes at this time, and we had conversation back and forth. And the guy looked at me. He just he broke out in a big smile to sort of contain a laugh, and he said, our amps and things are good at $1,000 each, but these speakers are beyond the reach of most of our typical users. And I asked, "Oh, okay, well, how much do they cost?" And $10,000 a pair. So it's and then this is what makes audio reproduction so interesting is I think it's way harder than video, because the quality of the screens and devices we have does a much better job than reproducing the sound. We have, I think, a double whammy. We have the quality of the recording and the mastering, and all its inherent, mic placement and everything else, and then how it gets reproduced in your room, which has completely different acoustics and completely different shape. But
I want to bring Brian in because he has a question that relates to this. Brian?
Yeah, I was just curious. Listening, I don't listen to a whole lot of music, and I'm hearing the conversation about all these great new ways to upload the music in higher quality. Just curious if anyone knew, are most newly created songs or newly uploaded songs, do they tend to be this higher quality? Or I think of it like in the area of television and TV shows, where it's almost like really difficult nowadays to find a show that is in 480 or 720p. Mostly it's 1080p or better. That your television may not be, so maxes out or whatever it is, but at least the the quality of the stream originally. So I was just curious if anyone knew.
I don't. I mean, sort of my musical tastes, and what I appreciate is hardly representative of mainstream. So I'd pass it on to Jeff or Chuck or somebody else.
Yeah, Chuck, you're the expert on this.
Oh,
Kidding.
good. Thank you. Right under the bus.
So that's a really good question. Okay, so Brian, what's happening is with the technology we have today, you can master for multiple target platforms simultaneously now. So what you'll find is that like when you're creating that high res music file for streaming, it will probably come bundled with just like a standard lossless version as well, so that whatever device it's going to, which says this is what I can take, or whatever setting you've put in, it like if you want the lower quality, which can still be good quality, you can save some bandwidth. So yeah, it's the fact that they can do what they can do now with computers to just render stuff so much faster. Yes, pretty much everything at this point, if it's not being targeted as high res audio with an extra file at lossless, that's probably the exception at this point.
Yeah, and I would say I agree, now that I think about it for a moment, with what you and Chuck have said, Jeff, that Apple's moving forward with higher res versions of their catalog, and I've seen that. Just I can think about different pieces I've listened to over the span of a couple of years, they've gotten better. And so I think, like Tim Cook says, we love music, parroting Steve Jobs, who says music's in our blood. It's something they're just moving the state of the art forward. Maybe there's long-term economic benefit of it. A lot of companies would certainly just, not spend the time and energy and care to continue to improve the listening experience.
And
Because I mean, my environment, I have sort of the big room and speakers and things, and then I have different smaller room, with a couple home pods, and then I have some AirPods Pro, and they're very different. I just suppose I need to go buy a shit DAC and cross the bridge to be able to see something in a room where I do listen mostly to vinyl and also cassettes.
Yeah.
When I go there, it's less common.
Yeah, Brian, I wanted to just throw something out because it's I've had the potential to go real technical. I'm not going to, so I'm just going to do it this way. If I interview Jeff and we just do, our respective, just the two of us, and we have good cameras, and I do it through Ecamm, I can capture a 1080p image for the two of us. That can be kind of as large or as small as I want to make it. But after I edit it, then I have to figure out what do I render it to release it for YouTube, for Vimeo, or for an RSS feed, for an MP4 feed. And so I do a fairly large quality file to YouTube, but I also have a much smaller one that goes out to the video feed, because that just, it's crazy. Nobody's going to want to download an 8 gig file, but that's a lot of times what it ends up being, going up to YouTube, because I want it to look as good as I can, and they're going to compress it anyway. And so I know I'm going to lose a little something there. But if I'm distributing it via an RSS feed to you, I'm going to give you a lower quality. It's still the same dimensions, but it's going to be a lower quality. And I think that's kind of goes along with what Jeff was saying, and not just what's being created, but also how it's being distributed through which medium. And Jeff, it goes to your point about saving bandwidth, for a little bit lower quality. Do you really need a 4K stream? Do we want a 4K stream? Of course. Do we need it? That's another matter. So for an average rom-com, you probably don't. But for next Star Wars, maybe you do. So, Eric, I wanted to bring you in because you'd brought up a really great point that, well, it may affect one or two of us here.
It's over time, people have hearing loss. If you go out and listen to lots and lots of loud concerts, there's a significant potential for hearing loss. A lot of the audio engineers that are on the road all of the time, there's a big difference. And as companies are producing content that sounds better, where the quality of the sound matters, if your audience starts losing their hearing, then you lose that differential. So I find it interesting that there are a bunch of studies now looking at things like the AirPods 2 and how much it can offer potentially audio protection to users so that they can be in a loud environment for a little bit longer without damaging their hearing. That just seems kind of interesting to me.
That's a good point. I don't think I have any significant hearing loss, but I haven't been to an audiologist to test it, so I don't know.
Well, there's two dimensions of hearing, right? There's frequency response, and then there's ability to detect, amplitude, of how loud the signal is.
Right. Next story. I want to throw this in, and Mike, I had you in mind to comment on this one.
Oh, no.
Well, there's a logic to it, believe it or not. And this is Netflix ending the DVD and the mail service,
Oh.
which is interesting. And the reason I wanted you to comment on it, because I know your wife runs a store and you all deal in manga and, related things. I'm
Mhm.
curious to see, how do they distribute? Do they distribute on DVDs, or do they distribute? I don't know. I mean, I obviously streaming, obviously, for some channels, but is the DVD still alive and well in that world?
Oh yeah. A lot of it is streaming, obviously. Crunchyroll is a very popular streaming service for anime. But it's interesting. I just read an article about this not too long ago, that there's been a resurgence of interest in DVDs and Blu-rays of anime series. And the reason is fans are finding out that these shows don't have a permanent life on the streaming services. Just like we're finding out of some of our favorite movies. I get emails almost every day from the services that I use that said, "Oh, by the way, this movie is going away." "Oh, I haven't watched it yet. It's in my watch list. I haven't watched it yet. I got to watch it." No, I'm not going to watch it. But they are constantly churning the shows, television shows and movies that are on these services. And what do you know? The kids are figuring out that the shows that they love aren't always there and available. So there is a lot of interest in DVD and Blu-ray. We, in particular, don't happen to sell a lot of it, but we do a fair amount. Some of the more popular type series we do have. But interestingly, as much as comics and books are going digital, one of the number one sellers in our shop is manga, the printed version of the Japanese comics that we sell. Number one seller, because everyone wants that hard copy.
Why?
For collectability reasons. If you have, if you like with movies, if you have a digital copy that you paid for, and the service decides to remove it and you no longer have access to it, what did you pay for? If you have a physical copy that you paid for, you still have that physical copy. Same thing with comics, manga. If you have a physical copy, you will always have that physical copy until or unless you decide that you don't want it and you give it away or sell it or what have you. I think there's a good argument to be made for the collectability of physical goods. Sorry. I still buy CDs. I buy CDs and rip them. Or I use Amazon's auto rip service and I just get the cups. Sorry, Jeff, I don't listen to high quality audio. But
if you're listening to something that makes you happy, that's what matters.
My very first CD ever, I think I purchased it it was either in fall of 85 or spring of 86, was Elvis Presley's album Elvis, which was released on CD in mono. And one of the main reasons I brought it back to my dorm and I started throwing it around, because we all heard about how durable CDs were, right? I'm like, look how durable this CD is. I'm throwing it around. And what do you know? It got scratches all over it, but it still played. It still played.
Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
No problem. This is going to be a different topic, but I frankly, like Mark posted in the chat, is I didn't even know Netflix was still distributing DVDs. I think it was kind of like a lost thing. I had thought they'd stopped years ago. But the as far as the DVDs go, I mean, yeah, I think I agree with Mike. I mean, there's so many people that like to have the physical copy of DVDs. I mean, I just had a family member passed away, and there was a huge collection of DVDs, and I said, I want to grab these and see if if they're anything real good, and maybe I can rip them, put them in my Plex server or wherever, and because I now own them, they're mine. But it was interesting to see that there's so many DVDs out there, but they're still making them. But you also go into Best Buy or any places that were selling DVDs, they're nowhere to be found. Now vinyl is out there now, because you see that. I mean, I was in the store in the Best Buy and saw they held a small little section of vinyl, but you don't see DVDs anymore. So it's interesting. But streaming is here, and it's but I agree with you that we got to have. There are people that like to have physical copies of a DVD. It's going to be interesting to see how it disappears. I mean, then we haven't even talked about Blu-ray. I mean, Blu-ray is the big. It is still big, and still a lot of people still like them. And I don't even know if Netflix was renting those or anymore. But Blu-ray is another medium that's still as popular as ever.
Yeah, I buy all my movies on Blu-ray, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I buy them on Blu-ray, and preferably Blu-ray with a digital or a DVD copy and a digital copy, all for one price. So it's hard to justify 14, 15, 20 bucks for a digital copy of a movie when I can get the Blu-ray, the DVD, the digital copy for less.
Mm-hmm.
you're right. I mean, there's
And
so
if
many.
you have a Plex server,
Yeah, there
Put
you
it
go.
on there, which I do.
mm-hmm.
Hey, Mark,
My Mac Studio makes a great Plex server.
yeah, Mark has to go. So Mark, I'm going to say thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Where can folks find you when you're not here?
At at Twitter at MARKFUCCIO, all lowercase, all one word.
Great. Thanks so much for taking the time to show up tonight. We really appreciate it.
Okay, everyone, carry on. You have a lot of great topics. Good
See you
chat.
next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Mark.
I definitely want to make sure that Brian and Eric, but they both threw some good points in our chat, and I want to make sure they make them. So, Brian, yours had to do with just the ability to stream.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of streaming services do allow for, you can download ahead of time type thing, but not all of them do. And depending on which, plan you purchase or subscribe to, you may not be able to download ahead of time. And even then, it might be limited how many episodes. But yeah, if you're going to go in an area without good internet service, it's great to have that physical medium to be able to, put that Blu-ray or DVD in and enjoy without a strong internet signal.
I mean, I'll add another point. Redbox is still live and well. I mean, you go to any kiosk and any corner drugstore or any store that happens to have a kiosk out there, and they're still renting them. And so obviously there is a sustainable business of some sort. I mean, I know Redbox is a little too late to the game, starting to look at streaming and all that stuff, but they seem to still be holding on, renting DVDs. And you don't see obviously stores anymore, video stores, and who knows? There's been some rumors about Blockbuster maybe coming back at some point, but which I think which was kind of funny. I think someone put something up on the Blockbuster.com site that potentially something might happen, because I know the last store that was still operating in Oregon, I think finally shut down. So
No, it did.
Yeah, I
Bend,
believe
Oregon.
so.
That one
I
closed.
thought that one turned into an Airbnb, a Blockbuster Airbnb.
Is that what it is now? Maybe
I'm
something's
pretty
changed
sure.
since last I looked.
It has a whole movie theater set up in it, and
I thought that was still open.
It might be. I thought heard news that they were shutting down, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
In addition to the red boxes, even a lot of local public libraries too.
There you go.
You can
Libraries.
check out your DVDs, Blu-rays.
Yep,
No, still open.
it is okay. I thought they had talked about it.
And it's still an
potentially-
Airbnb.
So that's what I think. That's what I thought it became an Airbnb as well.
The world will be a much, much sadder place when that closes.
Yeah.
Where will we stay in Bend?
That's right.
Eric, you bring up you opened a Pandora's box here, and we could get into a real big argument over one particular movie. But go ahead and make your point, because I think that too is an interesting one.
When you have a physical copy of a movie, it plays the same way each time.
Mhm.
So as streaming services buy content, a lot of times it gets edited, either because whatever the streaming service is has a certain level of violence, or it's a family thing or whatever, or modernizing it and taking out objectionable content, or just removing something. It changes.
Or letting George Lucas put his hands on it.
Yeah. And I mean, there are a bunch of Disney examples where freeze framing the animation gives you different results in the original copy from later copies when they found out what people put in and it got taken out, or things like that, or as over time, as additional movies are added, maybe it's the perception isn't quite the same to have certain things happen, so it gets adjusted, and they put out a new version of the movie. So if I get a movie I like and I want to see it again and I don't want it to change, then I want a physical copy of whatever that content is, because then I know when I go back to it, it will all still look the same and have the same content that I remember. And it won't have a replaced song. It won't have, because of licensing. I mean, that happens with TV shows that get put out to DVD, where they will replace some of the audio.
Yeah.
Because of licensing or something. And yeah.
WKRP in Cincinnati was, I think, a big one for that, where, on air, they were all the tracks you knew from that time period that were hot. And when they came out on DVD, it was like, what is this?
And Happy Days. Happy Days was another one that got affected by that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They didn't have the licensing
licensing
or the music.
I expect the answer among this group is going to be a much higher response, positive response when I ask this question. But how many of you have the original theatrical release of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi on DVD?
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Because when it got released along with the special edition, I bought them up. Can you find them now? Nope. Can't get it anywhere. So I've got the original theatrical release, not only on DVD, but on VHS as well. So
I was going to say VHS.
Yeah.
Not getting rid of those.
Yeah. Hey, I want to make sure everyone knows Frank Petrie is in the chat room. Frank, it's great to have you here. Hope
see you, buddy.
It's a party now.
So,
It is.
Yep. So look out, the scathing comments are about to come on YouTube, no question. Brian, your comment, I don't know. Were episodes removed from The Simpsons?
I was trying to think if it was Simpsons or something else. Maybe it was a different series. I just recall, the certain episodes were taken away, or I don't think it was The Simpsons. I could be mistaken.
I think there's a couple episodes of South Park that can't be seen anymore.
South Park, yeah.
It might have been South Park. Okay.
That was Paramount.
Looney Tunes.
Well, a lot of the Looney Tunes stuff, they just put the disclaimer on the front now, so you can see what it was, but you understand that you're watching it in context of when it was made, which I think is great, because while some of the things are horribly offensive now.
Oh, absolutely.
Just, oh my God, the racism in the old Looney Tunes cartoons is just off the charts. That said, letting people see what was deemed acceptable at that point, so we can understand better today why it's not acceptable, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. And there's a whole censorship discussion there that we could go way off the deep end on.
Yeah.
Just by sheer coincidence with this discussion, does anybody remember the Avengers TV series? Not the Marvel Avengers, but
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Diane Ladd, was that her name? No.
Yeah. Shoot.
Barbara
I'm
Riggs.
blank. Riggs, Diana Riggs.
Diana Riggs. Thank you.
Yeah. I did not know this, but I stumbled across it that there apparently was an episode of the Avengers that featured her in basically a very skimpy catsuit. And the only way that it can ever be seen is if you get the British version of the DVDs.
Really?
That, so I mean, even so, there are all kind of issues here with what gets put in, what gets taken out, what's available, when it's available. I don't
That's
know. I mean,
crazy.
maybe I'll have to go back to buying DVDs. You guys may have convinced me.
Chuck, seriously, when you go to buy a movie or TV series, and you go and look at how much it's going to cost on the streaming services, hop over to Amazon and look at what you're going to pay there. And there's a high chance that you'll pay less for the physical media shipped than you will for the digital version.
Oh, way less.
Really?
Way less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were just watching an episode of Gotham just before I came down here on DVD.
This is why I still have my Super Drive sitting on the shelf, because periodically when I'm buying a movie, it'll show up as a DVD instead of getting it as the digital, and I immediately rip it to my Plex server, and now I have the best of both worlds. I have a digital copy and the physical medium.
Yep. Absolutely.
A couple things I definitely want to make sure we get to, because I think they're important. Dave brought this one in. This, I did not even know this happened, but apparently Apple Pay Later has launched. Dave, and I know you said you had some experience with it already. You signed up for it. Can you tell us how it went and what they claim it'll be?
Yeah, I just wanted to try to just see the process, and it was extremely easy. If you go into your wallet, some of you may already see this. It says early access, pay over time, and you tap it. It'll go through the whole Apple Pay Later process, tells you all about it. There's no impact to your credit. If you click apply now, it's just as simple as putting in your information, which it'll already bring over. If those of you who have an Apple Card, it'll automatically bring it over. Because there might be a time you might want to split up payments and just not put it on the card. And they'll let you do it in 4 equal payments. You can do up to $1,000. So when you go through it, to say however much money you wanted to split over, however between $300 up to $1,000, and then like within a matter of not even a minute, it said approved, and then you can now go on and make a purchase, and then use that in its place of an Apple Card to make an Apple purchase. Yeah, it might come in handy if you're buying a low end product, maybe an iPad or just something that's under $1,000, and just make it simple. 4 easy payments of $250. But there are people out there who don't want to have a credit card, or they may not want to use it or not use their credit card, and this is a good alternative to do that, to pay now later. And you put this was actually from the Apple's news article, so they went through it and talk about the whole thing. I mean, you can go. I see now you can get loans up to starting at $50. That's crazy, but it gives you a nice breakdown of how when it's due and then what you have to pay, and it's all through Goldman Sachs too. They're backing it with the installments. So it's.
Dave,
I think it's.
Where did you see it?
I mean, I can show it on my screen here if you can see my phone.
Everybody's looking at their phones.
It's right there. If you
So it just shows up in Wallet?
Yeah, it just showed up all of a sudden for me.
Okay,
if
so
you
it's
notice
just not showing up for me yet.
If you notice, one of my cards there is Pay Later, because I already applied for it. I didn't see it. I didn't see that there. So yes, and then it's just going to show you. Sorry with the glare. It's going to show you, what you're paying, how much you finance, and what you owe, right? Just like a card.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it just adds to your wallet. It's right there. That's cool.
And Brian, you made a comment. Because I haven't done this, so I can't comment. David, did you what? Yeah, I mean, Brian is saying that that this looks like it's being financed directly by Apple because it's
right.
Loaned by Apple Financing LLC.
It could be just a spin off. Like they created their own banking. I had thought that Goldman Sachs had a bit of a backing to that, but yeah, you're right. I did remember that they were gonna be doing that as an independent financing. So maybe they did set up an LLC to manage this as opposed to Goldman Sachs doing it.
Interesting.
And related to this, and this is sort of old news now, but I have a story about it. But Apple launching its new high yield savings account.
Yep.
So I went to open mine, and this was really strange because it was trying to connect, because I wanted to transfer some money from my bank account to it.
Right.
And it was showing me a bank account. It had the right bank name, but it had an account number. Oh, and it had the right routing number, but it had an account number that I'd never heard of before. And I
Transfer
called,
everything.
Yeah. Well, it was also new.
Yeah, but not the account. I mean, Dave, this was the account number at my existing bank.
Oh, your bank. Okay.
At my bank. And so I called Apple, and they couldn't tell me where the number came from. I called my bank, and they said, you've never had an account with that number, yet the routing number was okay. So the solution, and it was not a big deal because I hadn't moved any money, but
Right.
the solution was just to delete that number in the Apple savings account and then put
Right.
my regular account number in. But I
Because
thought
you're going
it was just
to add multiple accounts.
Yeah, but it was right. But this was an account I'd never had anywhere.
Yeah, that's weird. Really weird.
So, it's something to make note of. If you're going to move money around, just double check the account number. I mean, both were very helpful. And in some ways, I was tempted to send $10 just to see where it went. But I know So
no, I'll tell you my experience. The Apple Savings account was awesome too. I mean, took a matter of, if any of you set it up, it took a matter of minutes, and everything I had in the Apple Cash account transferred right over real easily. I was already, because I have multiple checking accounts, those were all already linked to my Apple Card because I use those to make the payments of the Apple Card, and I was able to do transfers. I transferred $100, and in another bank I transferred $400 to move it into the savings. They all, it worked really flawlessly, and this is sweet. 4.15 APY.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really beat that.
Yeah. So
I did the same thing. My Apple Cash account went to zero. And now the savings account is through Goldman.
That is Goldman, right?
Yeah, it had to do that so they could get the FSL or the FDIC insurance behind it. So,
and routing numbers, and they probably had to set up maybe another routing.
Yeah, but as a finance company, you could separate that out. Right. That's done all the time. So,
yeah.
So it makes up a really key point, and that is the FDIC insurance. That anything you put in there or that accumulates up to 250,000 is
and I asked the question: Is it how much is the minimum or the maximum you can have in the account? It's $250,000. So there is no limit, because some accounts with that high of an APY sometimes will limit it to a certain amount before you'll get less interest, and that itself, as far as I could tell, that's what they're doing.
Or it could be the other way, that you have to maintain a minimum balance of a higher level than what we're doing here in the Apple savings account. So
the other banks, may want you to keep that amount all the time, but it looks like with Apple, it can be any amount, and it'll continue to earn interest.
I think it's interesting. What could be the next move then, if Apple wants to get into the consumer finance, not financing, but just the consumer finance space, which makes a lot of sense. Considering how much cash that they have and what they could do, getting into that space could be really interesting. So
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that if memory serves, someone on this panel, along with a partner of his in another podcast, were questioning who that, why they were doing this, Jeff, and and look, it's a fair question because
did you like my speculation on why?
Well, I did, Jeff, but I also just felt like, okay, what is the cost of acquiring a new customer and getting them sucked in? So, but go ahead and share your speculation if you don't mind, or you can just tell people to go listen to the Context Machine.
Oh, go listen to the Context Machine. But the condensed version of my crackpot theory hypothesis. And now somewhere out there, Kelly's like, my ears. There's Instead, so what I speculated was that Apple is doing their own version of the X app, but it's not an app. It's the whole X ecosystem. So instead of having one app to do everything, you have the one company that you go to for everything. And they've got the software you need, the hardware you need, and all the services you need. And it's just all right there in one thing. And
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
this week's show.
That makes
Well,
sense.
I think, I mean, every point that's been made here, I think is a contributing factor. They want, Apple and Goldman want new customers. This is a way to get them. And there are banks out there that high yield savings accounts that are competitive with this. Some are a little more, some are a little less, but they're certainly in the ballpark. So,
you know, the account or the stuff that Brian and I were looking at, not even close.
no, the ones you guys were not, but I know there are several out there that are in this, again, in this ballpark. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
a couple tenths of a percentage point one way or another. But the ease of this, I mean, to David's point, this was so easy to set up because I already have credit established with Apple, because in my case, I'm buying an iPhone. I'm on the permanent upgrade plan. So I have that loan funneling through my Apple Card all the time. So I've got a credit history specifically with Apple, along with having my credit card for the App Store and the music store and et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
Exactly.
So
Mhm. See, look at all the parts of the whole ecosystem Apple has already created, and you're in it.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Can anybody think of a reason not to do this?
It's a no-brainer.
Brian?
Well, I guess, you know, I if you needed quick access and all the time access to going to a physical bank to, you know, make deposits and withdrawals, and you were still working with paper checks and things of that nature, I could see this could be, you know, you want to put money in there, and
Well, that's
where are you going to
different.
put it on your phone, you know, that type of
Right.
thing. But I'm thinking of, you know, for most people, that's not as much of an issue, and you can always transfer it over to a different account. But
Yeah, but there's a lot of people still out there who still want to write checks and still
Mhm.
want to go to a bank. My mother. So, and it drives me crazy. But it is what it is. She doesn't like working on computers, and then that's what she does. You know, then you get a check, and she goes to the bank and makes a deposit, and all those tellers are happy to see her. But there are, yeah, I mean, there are some that are like that who just don't want to do electronic banking. They want to just keep things on paper. Sooner or later, banks are going to start thinking, is this really worth our business anymore?
well,
Well,
and,
sorry, Brian, go ahead.
I was going to say, and you know, for most of those banks that you're walking into, the interest rate is so much lower
Right.
that you're getting on savings, because they have to pay for all that overhead of all the locations and all the extra employees and things of that nature that you don't have in the electronic medium, or much reduced.
Right.
But we
Agreed.
are seeing, at least in this area, I won't speak for you all, but we're seeing banks just slowly decide to close branches.
Mhm.
Not
Yep.
completely.
Oh, it's not slowly, Chuck.
No,
Okay,
a lot of
well,
They're
branches are
dropping
closing.
like flies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, here I know there's a lot of angst over closing a branch,
Yeah.
and it's probably just the nature of the society here. But you know, I mean, I've been to my bank probably twice in the last year. Once to take something out of my safe deposit box, and once to put it back in. I
You
have
still
no
have a safe
reason to
deposit
go.
box?
What?
You still have a safe deposit box?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I do for some important documents and
Well, sure.
a list of passwords and everything that is stored off-site securely. But you know, and that's relatively cheap. That's relatively cheap security.
A lot of banks are shutting those down too.
Well, that's true too. That's true
Mhm.
too.
Chuck, one of the problems that's going along with banks closing is that the local bank, your regional bank, whatever, but your local bank, that was a bank that, at least to some degree, was tuned into the local economy and
Right.
the local needs. And when you take that away, then you start having these problems where, like, local businesses that otherwise would have been able to get loans or other types of funding suddenly can't, because
Right.
now it's just a machine saying yes and no, and it's not the local banker who can say, "Ah, yes, this is an appropriate kind of business. This is a need that we have in this community. Give him the money."
No, I agree with you. I mean, you got the big banks like a Chase and a Citibank, and a
Mhm.
lot of those, you don't get that personalized service like you do with a local bank. I
Mhm.
mean, and credit unions are the same thing. I think those are starting to be a dying type business, but I still see branches popping up for credit unions too. So they're still viable.
It's just, again, the model's changing. I mean,
Right.
Mhm.
in
Oh,
some
big
in-
time.
yeah, in some
Right.
spots fast, in some spots slow, but it is
Right.
definitely changing. So
Branches are very. I used to have a bank. We used to have a federal savings bank that we had a charter. We ran it for about 10 years, realized that it just didn't have the margin in it that we wanted, so we sold it off. And that was about 99 to 2010, as long as we had it. And like I said, branches are very expensive. I also noticed that when I had it, it took an awful lot of my time. Different committees, loan committees, risk committees, things like that, that really kind of diverted from my main business. Um, so it's, and like I said, branches are just very, very expensive. That's why they're changing them all out to ATMs where they can. They want everyone to do their business through an ATM if they can. So anyway, interesting world. Then if you go through what Silicon Valley Bank went through and how that trickled down to the other regional banks, like I said, it's even a more interesting dynamic business right now than it has been, just because of
Right.
all the things that go on there. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole again. But
That is the
well,
first time I've ever been on a conversation with somebody who said, I used to have a bank, and they meant they
actual
used to
bank.
have a bank.
bank. Well, Jim, sort of along those lines, there is one insurance company, and I will not name names here, but they have a bank, and in order for you to transact the agent, in order for the agent to transact commissions with them, that agent has to have an account at that bank.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Now, there may be more than one, but I know of one.
Yeah.
And and so, Webb, to your point, it kind of feels a little, I don't know. I always felt that was just a little bit questionable. It's like, okay, I have to do business with the right hand so I can get paid by the left hand, so it passes through the right hand. But
I mean, State Farm had their own bank at one point. I was a
Yep.
customer, and they got out of that business and sold it to U.S. Bank. So,
Well,
yeah. Sort of along those lines, one last story here. And that is this. This is Apple Pay holdout. Kroger begins accepting Apple contactless payment following years of holding out.
about time.
Screw Kroger.
I think you said that last week, Jeff.
Oh my
Was
God, I
you?
think you're right. It's
Yeah.
it's like a Pavlovian reflex.
I'm in touch with iOS.
Yes. You know what? Don't anyone give Kroger any sort of kudos for doing this. They
Yeah.
held out, and it was very clear from the way they were doing this that this was that not supporting Apple Pay was all about trying to have more control over their customer data and manipulate customer buying habits.
Yep.
So getting on the Apple Pay bandwagon now, whatever. Screw you, Kroger.
Well, look at CVS. Look at Walmart. CVS finally gave in. So they happily accept Apple
That was
Pay.
a
and-
long time ago.
Yeah, well, it still happened.
But it still happened.
It did still happen, but I'm a CVS customer, so
Yeah,
In fact,
it was a long time ago.
It was a long
But,
time ago,
yeah.
but they were hold off
I mean,
for when it started.
they did hold out. I mean, it seemed like a long time that they didn't have it.
Yeah, comparatively,
Now,
it wasn't a long time because Kroger.
right. Well, and how about Home Depot?
Right? Screw Home Depot.
Yeah, they still don't.
Definitely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Walmart, Dave. Walmart doesn't take Apple Pay.
Yeah, Walmart's the other one. Yep, they still
Well,
held out.
Walmart.
Web's second.
And last week I went to the doctor and I had to go buy something out of the doctor's office, doesn't matter. But they didn't have any kind of contactless, which I thought was just ironic for a doctor's office.
That's-
That I had to pay for it. I had to actually run my credit card swipe through. When was the last time I had to do that? Ages ago. So, and I Chuck, I listened to you about a year ago on this podcast. Won't go to a store if it doesn't support Apple Pay. It's just so much easier,
Well,
and I feel so much safer with it.
Yeah.
And that's why Kroger's doing it. Because I'm sure they saw, people have choices. And I'm sure you're not the only one that made that decision.
I mean, look, during the pandemic, the contactless thing was a big deal. Now it's not out of hygiene, it's out of convenience. And it still fascinates me though, because I don't use Apple Pay on my phone. I use it on my watch. And I'm still shocked at the number of young, old, and
Right.
everything in between.
Wow, I've never seen
cashiers
that before.
who say, wow, isn't that cool? I've never seen that. Like, how can you not have seen this? And is it safe? How well does it work? Who do you pay? It's
That
like,
hasn't
wow,
happened
really?
here in California for a while, but it did for a lot longer than I mean, it was like 4 or 5 years, but I'd say the last year or two now, I don't get that I don't hear that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point now that there are so many venues, sporting events in particular, they don't take cash at all, period.
Right.
And they want to do everything. They prefer to do everything contactless, but at least with their credit card. So yeah. When's the last time when I had to use cash? Well, I got my haircut. My barber still wants cash, but other than that,
A lot of Major League Baseball teams are not accepting cash anymore. I know the Chicago Cubs aren't.
I thought that cash was legal tender and had to be accepted. Did I misunderstand that?
We get asked in the store all the time if we take cash. Of course we do. If we can spend it,
if you have money, we'll take it from you.
We'll
Exactly.
take it.
Yeah.
We'll either take cash, or someone will even throw like a whole handful of coins on the counter to purchase their candy or what
The
have
kids.
you. That's awesome. They don't know how to count. They don't know how to count the cash.
Especially when it's pennies.
Yeah.
But the question is often, is this enough? You tell us. Is it
Did
enough?
you count it?
The total is $5.43. Is that enough? They don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's horrible. You guys accept
They
Apple Pay,
need
right?
an app on their phone that uses
Yeah.
a camera and looks at all the coins and tells them how much money they have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I bet there's an app that does that.
Not there should be.
Right?
Go or Jim.
Right, Jim? We now found your first App Store app, the money
Yeah.
counter.
Count money.
I just have the one app.
Well, and I tell you, it's fun to decide to pay cash, and it's $1.97, and so you give somebody a bunch of coins and a buck or something, and watch them try to figure it out, and it's like they melt down. But
yeah.
let's see, Southwest Airlines, I think, would not accept cash on
Oh.
my trip. They won't accept cash in flight.
American or
I-
United either.
Yep, I was at the Masters earlier this month, Webb, and they told you right up front, we are completely cashless.
Yeah.
So It's the way of the world. We didn't get to everything, but we got to a lot. And some of it will keep and some of it will just fade into history. But thank you all for being here. This was a good discussion. Let's go around the room and reintroduce everyone, and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to flip it around and give Mr. Bixby the first out. Well, thank you for being here. You and your custard.
Yeah. Yes, I love my wife. She's fabulous. So,
yes,
and I hope to introduce you to her someday. So,
I look forward to it.
Anyway, I haven't looked this up in ages. I even forgot what my Mastodon handle was, but it's webbixby@twit.social. And thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Hope I didn't embarrass myself too much. So.
No, hardly.
Not at all.
Hardly.
Oh, give me a chance.
Hey, Jim, Webb used to have a bank.
Yeah.
Where can we find you, Jim?
At Webb's Bank.
Well, I don't have it anymore, so
There's a reason for that. No. Yeah, you can find me on the internet at provue.com, BRVUE.com. And you can also find me on Mastodon at provuejim@techhub.social.
Folks, he really wants you to follow him because he keeps it right there.
Please.
Where you can see it.
I got camo, so I gotta show that off.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Jim. Jeff Gamet, the weather is hopefully going to hold up and you will remain dry and safe tonight. Where can folks find you, assuming you do stay dry and safe?
Well, last I checked, it was raining out, so I'll stay inside. All right. So when I'm avoiding the rain or the snow, on social media, I'm Jay Gamet on Mastodon and Instagram. And then let's see, for shows here on Mac Voices Live with you on Tuesdays, Chuck. Thank you for continuing to let me on. And then on Thursdays on the British Tech Network, I am perpetually interim hosting The Big Show. And then Dave lets me join him on Thursday evenings on In Touch with iOS. And then on Fridays, back to the British Tech Network for the Mac Show. And then also on the Context Machine, because Brian Chaffin and I are clearly both gluttons for punishment and are willing to dole it out on each other.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Mike Potter, it was so good to have you here. We have to get you back more often. We might even pay cash.
Ooh, I take cash. If it spends, I take it.
We'll give you a second to promote not just yourself and your podcast, but also the obvious MacStock Conference and Expo.
Well, when I am not found at the Bend, Oregon Blockbuster store, which I have never been to, but so desperately want to go to.
Road trip.
Road trip. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I would love to go there. You will find me on For Mac Eyes Only, my podcast, and Mastodon at For Mac Eyes Only at tooting.ninja. And yes, MacStock is coming up this July 22nd and 23rd, and several of you are going to be there. And I think it's going to be a great time. We have 11, we turned it up to 11 just this weekend. We have 11 great presenters. We've got
awesome.
Wally Trowinski's MacStock Short Film Festival, and we have Mac Geek Gab live on stage at the end of the day, Saturday. So it's going to be a really, really fun weekend. And you can learn about that at macstockconferenceandexpo.com or on Mastodon at macstockexpo at tooting.ninja. Thanks, Chuck.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Looking forward to it already. Brian, thank you so much for showing up with the tie, but you're setting a bar for yourself. You're going to have to keep doing this to continue to receive the level of respect you're getting now.
Oh, well, happy to do so. Thank you. Yeah, a couple places to find me online. Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud. And then Twitter, Brian8944.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Eric Bolden, what plant are you going to have behind you next?
I don't know. The weather's got to warm up. Normally I'd have plants blooming and leafed out, and last week it was snow and ice it was carrying. This week, the closest I could get to color is birds. So I am ever hopeful. It's close. If I have to go out with a little sun lamp and hold it over the tree, I will get something. In the meantime, you can find me at EA Bolden at techhub.social, where occasionally I post whatever's blooming indoors until it warms up out there.
The only request we make, Eric, is that it's a legal plant, please.
Every plant is legal. Ish.
Depending on your state.
Come hang out in Colorado. You're fine.
And in Illinois too.
Yep, good in Illinois.
Okay, the Illinois contingent jumped right in there. Sounds like there's a little personal experience going on.
They just follow the news.
Yeah, that's what they all said. Dave Ginsburg, thank you very much for being here. When you're not denying your plant knowledge, where can folks find you?
You could find me at In Touch with iOS and intouchwithios.com. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I am on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud, Twitter DaveG65, and I'm also here on Tuesdays and on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Frank Petrie has been in the chat room. Brittany Smith has been in the chat room. We've had a lot of other great people in the chat room throwing comments in. I'm going to give Brett the last word. Brett says, if he understands Jeff correctly, Kroger is to Apple Pay as GM is to CarPlay.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, no, it's the opposite.
No, screw both of them.
Yeah, for sure. But GM has been supporting Apple and now is dropping it. Kroger has not been and now is adding it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, but the important part is screw both of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's if I did show titles, that we would have a show title.
Yeah.
Shop local, shop small.
Okay, too.
That's right. Screw them right up their self-checkout lane.
Folks, this is MacVoices Live. We do this craziness every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We would love to have you join in with us in the chat room at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. As I said before, we are back on schedule. No significant disruptions in front of us at the moment. So look for us next Tuesday and every Tuesday. Until then, and as always, thanks for watching. Thank you, guys. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. I missed that last week.
So how was your trip?
Yeah.
It was good. It was very good. It was very good. As usual, everybody here says, "Oh, you went to Vegas." Oh, it's like, yeah. And I saw the Las Vegas Convention Center, and that's pretty much it. The inside of the Las Vegas Convention Center. But
I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, but
you didn't see Doc Rock and Frederick Van Johnson.
I saw Doc Rock and Frederick and a lot of folks, that we all know, developers. I just started releasing the interviews today, so there'll be more coming.
Cool.
A lot of new ones.
You missed Road. I can't believe it.
I'm terribly distressed because I specifically looked for them and they weren't in the show listing or anything. So I don't know if maybe they didn't have a booth. Maybe they just were there.
They were
taking appointments.
There was a bunch.
They made announcements.
Yeah, they were showing off stuff. I mean, Doc did videos with them where it looked like they were on the expo floor.
Okay, well, I somehow I missed them. I'm really bummed because I always enjoy those guys and they do such great stuff.
Did you
I think
see
it was a
Zoom?
green screen behind their car trunk.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be.
You know, that's brilliant. We could do a whole series of videos, Chuck, where you're at NAB or CES or whatever other event where you're not actually there.
Yeah.
No, I prefer authenticity, Jeff. So
Well, it'll be authentic backgrounds.
no good. Authentic fake backgrounds.
Right.
Courtesy of Jeff Gammon. I like it. I like it. No, it was I think they said the official attendance was 65,000.
65,000. They said it's
it's
over
not-
half.
Yeah,
of
it's not
what
what
it
it has
was.
been, but it's it's creeping back up. It was more than last year. One interesting trend I saw was some folks that have in the past had big booths now have shrunk this year anyway. They shrank it down to small booths, and they were just mobbed. And so I feel like that may hopefully that mobbing will encourage them to go back to the larger booths.
What is attendance normally? Or
Honestly, Mike, I think
2019 or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
pre-pandemic, I think it was
100,000 at least.
Yeah, it was over 100. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're down 40%, 45%.
Yeah.
Was Zoom there?
Zoom as in the recorders?
Recorders, yeah.
No, they were at CES, but they weren't here. So it seems like, again, I get the sense that some maybe dance in and out every other year
Yeah.
just because it is expensive, no question about it, to exhibit.
Any product stick out of your mind that really impressed you?
Web, it's funny. I was asked that every day, and only, I guess the last day, I found a little company, and their interview will come out later. And I'm sorry, I can't tell you their name because it's an unusual name, but it's an audio composition tool for sound effects.
Okay.
And very, very inexpensive, just a little booth, but just one of those cool little things like, yeah, I want to play with this for hours and hours and hours. That was
Nice.
probably the coolest thing I saw. Everyone else was kind of iterating on things. Jeff, you had said about can't talk. You had said about artificial intelligence assisted editing.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite there yet. There are some platforms out there that will strip things out of the audio and all, but as far as actually editing the video, we're not quite there yet.
Well, now we have something to look forward to next year.
Yeah, there was one company I didn't get to talk to and do an interview with them, but I did talk to them. Axle AI.
Okay.
They gather up. They're a media cataloger, but now they've added AI to their product, so now you'll be able to search your archives a lot more efficiently as far as what you have, and be able to take you right to the spot in the clip that maybe Jeff Gammett said underpants. And
Like that would ever happen.
No.
Yeah. But you could see how that could be a potential big, potentially big thing.
Oh, sure.
I think this one will be out Thursday, but there was a company called My Mojo that is focused on mobile journalism.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And how actually the genesis of their company was January 6th. When they saw, that there were mobile journalists in the crowd, and they were having a terrible time getting the video uploaded on a timely basis. And so they provide options, all kind of options to get your video uploaded through whatever communications channels you have available, and then distributed back to your newsroom. So I thought that was, just very, very interesting, because there's so much high quality video out there that could be deployed if you could just get it back properly and quickly enough.
That's really cool.
It is.
I just Googled the company. Maybe they should have done a little bit of market research.
Website, not good.
Well, I can't even find them. But
My Mojo, you mean?
yeah, but like mymojo.ai, test your sperm from home. It's one of the top
What
hits.
the hell?
Right? I mean, who knew you could test your fertility in the
Oh.
comfort of your own home. And then the other top hit is about the old R&B song "Got My Mojo Working," which probably makes sense that hit would be right beside the mymojo.ai.
Theirs is mymojo.co.
SEO needs
they,
work.
they need to work on their SEO because
Yeah.
they are not on the first page of Google results.
There's an upload joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to touch it.
Well, that takes us back to mymojo.ai.
I'm not sure I believe that Jeff actually researched this. I think maybe he knew of it before.
You know, I could confirm or deny, but that would take the mystery out of our relationship.
It would.
I would like to officially apologize to the chat room right now.
Hey, you went into after dark mode and let me stay. This is on you.
Yeah, well,
this is after dark.
that is true.
mymojo.co.
Yeah.
Not a secure web page. I can't
Really?
load it.
No SSL.
In the days of free SSL TLS certificates, there's no excuse for having an
Right.
HTTP site.
None. They need a web designer stat.
Hmm.
It's a lot of that.
Well,
Dave.
I mean, the product sounds
Oh, yeah.
great. But I can't look at their website.
I loaded it. It didn't stop me. And it shows up as HTTPS.
After all the descriptions
mymogo.co.
Oh, no.
MOJO, I mean.
After all the descriptions
MIMOJO.
Jeff gave, I'm a
Oh,
little afraid to
MI, not
research this.
MY.
That's even
My-
more of a deceiving.
Oh, yeah, I never would have found that.
I never would have found this ever.
See, that's why I go and do these interviews, so I can bring you these services. Just,
The page is still loaded here.
They need to buy the MY version of the or domain and redirect it to their website.
Well, the first episode's up on MacVoices, Jeff, and it's your favorite company.
Oh,
Kroger?
I can't wait to go look. MacVoices. Whoops. Don't search my history. Oh my. Oh.
Are you having a stroke, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes.
sounds like it, doesn't it?
I was trying to say check from edits. LumaFusion.
Yeah.
Chuck, did you ever jump over to Ventura? You were holding back because of Final Cut Pro. It had some instability. Have you made that jump yet?
Not on my main production machine.
Okay.
On a secondary machine, yes. And frankly, Webb, just things have been so crazy. And from CES through NAB and knowing what April was like, I decided I was just going to I wanted to get through releasing the NAB stuff. And then I will start seriously looking at it because I wanted to see, I think all the Final Cut things have resolved. I'm not seeing, other than just general comments about Ventura where they can't find anything in preferences, I haven't seen anybody else really say you should avoid it.
13.3.1 is out now. So
I haven't made the jump yet. I have the this M1 MacBook, and then at the office I have the Mac Studios, and I just got my admin up to a Mac Studio, and we're all on Monterey, so I'm getting ready to make the jump for all of us. So that's what I was asking. So
I approve of your strategy. Because what I used to tell people all the time back when I was consulting was, if you're in the middle of a big project, you don't change anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you wait till you're done with NAB, and then decide if you're ready to start swapping out operating systems.
Yeah.
Unlike us, where we got to get 13.3.1 because all the security concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, what I'll do is I won't do it on my main production machine, but I'll do
Sure.
it on the secondary machines.
Right.
And that way I get some experience with it and see if I have any real issues. But
Yep.
I don't toast my main production.
Don't tell anyone, but I do it on my wife's computer first, and that's how I get the experience. So.
Oh,
But she brings me frozen custard, so
Yeah.
See,
She'll even
relationships
know
are
that
all
you
about
did it.
compromise.
Like
But
she
if
even knows you did it.
If,
Yeah.
if she finds out you did it, you may get something else in your frozen custard.
yeah, no. So,
Look at Mike just sitting there. He's right in the middle of my Hollywood squares.
Yeah,
He's just
he
looking
is
kind of
for me
stoic.
too.
Yeah.
I was actually I was browsing the store at the Bend, Oregon Blockbuster.
We got a road trip.
And then I was thinking, as you guys were talking about upgrading your machines, I was thinking my iMac at the office, I have to wait until Open Core Legacy Patcher is updated. Then I could upgrade it to the next version of Mac OS. See, that's how that works. Here, the Mac Studio is no problem, but the iMac at the office, yeah, I got to wait for the Open Core to be released. Then I'm good to go.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is. Open Core Legacy Patcher?
It allows you to run current versions of Mac OS on machines that Apple no longer supports.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Chuck, tell me you
Awesome,
don't listen
amazingly
to
easy
For
to
Mac
use.
Eyes Only without telling me.
It was in a whole episode of For Mac Eyes Only.
I know, that's what I said. Chuck, tell me you don't listen to For Mac
Oh,
Eyes
Chuck
Only
doesn't
without telling me.
listen. Chuck doesn't listen to For Mac Eyes Only.
I am so far behind on everything. I mean, Jeff keeps telling me about TV shows I should watch. People keep telling me about podcasts I should listen to, and it's like, yeah, put them in the queue. I'll get there.
Yep.
And let me guess, you haven't watched Picard yet.
16 years of For Mac Eyes Only. 16 years of the podcast, and Chuck has listened to what, 2 episodes? How many have you been on, Chuck?
He's been on reaction time shows.
That's
for a long
nothing.
time.
I haven't
been
even
already-
listened to this episode and I was on it.
Jim, this is why I
I'm
love you.
kidding. I'm kidding. Truth is, I don't listen to many podcasts anymore either, since I stopped commuting on the train every day. I don't have the time to listen to them all.
Yeah.
What do you do while you're in the shower and washing dishes?
There's certain voices I don't want to hear while I'm in the shower.
Sorry. You don't want Chuck in the shower with you? Come on.
Nope.
Quite frankly, I don't want any of you in the shower with me.
You're missing out.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I'd never really thought of it that way. Now you may have ruined it for me.
Yeah.
I just see Webb shaking his head in the background, so I don't know.
Oh God. So did anything exciting happen last week while we were off? To anyone?
Not really.
No? Okay. Just checking.
I don't think so.
Just checking.
I have to look at my calendar, see what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I spent 8 hours at the car dealer waiting for the brakes to be done in my car. That was fun. They told
8
me it's going to be a
hours.
2.5
See, if you
hour
had some
brake job.
podcasts to listen to. Yeah.
2.5 hours. Actually, what I did instead is I added the chapter markers to the most recent For Mac Eyes Only while I was sitting there waiting. But yeah, 2.5 hours, they said. It'll be 2.5 hours. You'll be in and out. No problem. Okay, I can wait 2.5 hours. No problem. I got my MacBook. I got my phone. I'm good to go. 8 hours later,
Wow.
Wow.
I got out of there.
Would have been nuts.
That was my week last week.
Did they tell you that things had become difficult, or did they just let you sit?
Well, the initial problem, they did tell me about. The initial problem was that I had 114,000 miles on the brakes, and it was about due. The calipers were seizing up on the left rear brake, and they ordered new calipers. Got them in. Well, the problem is this car has an electronic parking brake versus a physical parking brake. And they ordered the wrong, or the parts department sent the wrong caliper. So they had to go request the correct one, wait for that to get delivered, and then they finally got done. And I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what took all the rest of the time. It should not have
Parts.
taken that long to get.
They were all in the shower listening to podcasts.
I
That's
think
what
they
took
were.
the rest of the
I think
time.
they were. I think they had to drive to Wisconsin to get it. I don't know.
Those dealers.
No, yeah, you know, you talk about independent grocery stores. Independent car dealers are where you need to go if you have to go to a car dealer. Go to an independent. We had a
Yeah.
really good independent car dealer in our area, and it got bought out by one of those large chains, and the service just went completely down the tubes.
Yep.
Completely. You know, when the service manager and several of the service personnel start quitting,
Oh,
That's a bad sign.
that's a bad
That's-
sign, and I haven't gone back there since. I mean, you know it's a bad service department when they come down. You go in for an oil change, and they come down and say, "Well, you know, the lug nuts on your wheels are they're looking a little odd. You're going to have to get new lug nuts for your wheels." What are you talking about? I came in here for an oil change. I don't need new lug nuts for my wheels.
Wow.
And that was the last time I went in there. Found
That's
another
nuts.
independent car dealer. Service is fantastic again. And that, you know, whether it's an independent mechanic or a car dealer with a good service department, that's what you want to look for.
Yep.
Like I said, shop local, shop small, and you will usually come out ahead. You'll usually win when you go that way. So
My car dealer, I love my car dealer. I get upset when I go to get an oil change because they get it done too fast. Because I want to hang out there. I mean, they have a comfortable lounge. They have good high-speed internet. You know, all the vending machines around. It is just a great place to go and not have any distractions.
Yeah. I do go to the car dealer for oil changes and tire rotations because they have a warranty plan. So you buy, depending on if you need the, you know, regular old oil, or if you need the synthetic, it's either 3 changes or 5 changes, depending on which vehicle I take in. But it's a prepaid warranty that you buy,
Mhm.
and it's so much cheaper than going anywhere else when you do that.
I have my local mechanic and my local tire shop,
And we have to.
and the mechanic, his shop, like I know him personally. We're friends. And when I take my Prius in for anything, I know I'm not going to get screwed at all. And if he says, "Hey, we found this thing," it's because they really found a
They
thing.
really found it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you know, last time I was in, I mean, my Prius has 90,000 miles on it, 93,000 miles on it. And last time I was in for regular maintenance, I asked him about the brakes because nothing has ever been done to the brakes. And he says, "You've got a Prius. The brakes will probably last longer than the car." So I'm like, okay, great. I don't need to worry about brakes.
Booyah.
Yeah, they didn't even do the fronts on our car. 114,000 miles, didn't even do the front, just did the rear. And I had them do both because I just prefer to have them evenly
Sure.
done on the back. I didn't want them to just repair the one side and then I'd be back there in 6 months for the other side. So I had them do both. But yeah, they didn't even do the fronts. Those were fine. And I think my car with that's Janet's car. My car with 110,000 miles on it, it's still original brakes on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
The tire place that I go to. So the car place is Hoshi Motors, and the tire place is Barnsley Tires. And when you go into Hoshi, it's just like you're hanging out with family. You go into
I like that.
you go into Barnsley, and Barnsley, the guy that that made the business and still owns it. This old guy, he's probably sitting off in a corner, and he's got these jars of pickles on the table on his little desk, and you can buy pickles from one of the local pickle companies, and everyone else is doing their actual job of taking care of your tires, but he'll be sitting there by his little display. Want to buy some pickles?
I would. I love pickles.
I mean, if I were into pickled cucumbers, I absolutely would buy some, but I am not. So I politely thank him, and I do not buy pickles.
I got to tour, as a board member for the chamber here in Woodstock, I got to tour the Clausen pickle plant. That's where they jar Clausen pickles right here in Woodstock.
Oh.
And I got to tour the plant, and it smells amazingly good in there. It's awesome. Just these giant pallets of cucumbers. That room smells amazing. And then you go into the pickling room. They don't do anything. They just take these raw cucumbers and shove them into the jars with the brine. That's what Clausen does. And they pickle on the shelf. And it smells so good there. And I love Clausen pickles anyway. The deli style pickles.
I do
my
too.
absolute favorite.
I'm with you.
Now I'm hungry for pickles.
You see, the fact that I don't like them is great, because that means there's more for you.
Yep. If we get lunch together, Jeff, sometime, and they put a pickle on your plate, I'll happily eat it. Not if you've licked it first or anything, though. Just
No, if there's a pickle on my plate,
Oh, you got some doozies for
don't
after
worry,
dark.
I,
I tell
I
you.
won't be licking. Mike, I'm not going to lick your pickle.
I didn't go there. I'm talking about the pickle on the plate, my friend.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Right.
So is Mike, are you asking if Jeff puts his pickle on his plate?
I am not. I don't want to listen to him in the shower, and I don't want his pickle on a plate.
Mike, you're
I've
just really
changed my
missing
mind.
out.
I've changed my mind. I no longer want your pickle to go to lunch, Jeff.
Hey, everybody, take a good look at Brian's face right now. He looks like he wants to give us all detention.
What the? I just got a private message from Mike saying I'm kicked out of Max stock. What the?
No, not allowed.
No.
Not allowed.
Oh,
My brain is mush right now. I've been administering the ACT for the last few weeks.
Oh
Ugh.
boy.
That just
Yeah.
sounds horrible.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
But-
so bad. Did you do something just incredibly bad in a past life? And this is
Or
like,
lose a bet, maybe, or
yeah.
Yeah, probably I must have. Yeah. Yeah, the window
Looks like
for
Brian
testing
is sitting-
closes at the end of the month. So,
Brian's sitting in
Almost
the
there.
most amazing teacher's lounge ever right now.
oh yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. The only thing you're missing is a jar of pickles.
It's true. I can give them to you. I'm not a big
I'll
fan
take
of them either. Yeah.
I'll take them.
Oh, I see.
I'll take Brian's pickle.
You'll take Brian's pickle, but you won't take mine.
I won't take yours now.
yeah.
You made it weird, Jeff. You made it weird. I don't want your pickle anymore.
He always
thought
does.
I thought it was already weird.
Uh,
I feel like this might be the first ever
Cheers.
edited version of Mac Voices After Dark.
Chuck, I want to point out once
Oh,
again
leave it
that you
in.
let me stay.
Yes, I do. I deserve what I get.
Your listeners are adults, Chuck. They can handle us talking about pickles.
Okay, well, let's hope so.
And we're just talking about cucumbers and weird juice, right? I mean, that's
Well,
that's what
I was gonna name the pickle plant again, but now I don't want to associate their brand with this conversation.
On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up and head out before it really goes downhill.
It goes downhill.
If it's possible to go any lower.
Oh Lord.
Oh,
Hey, Chuck,
Chuck,
before you
hold my
go,
beer.
Yeah,
Hey,
well,
uh, Mike Potter, I want to apologize. Chuck asked me if I was going to be able to make it to Macstock. I can't. I got another commitment that weekend and that Monday. I really wanted to come, but I can't make it this year. So maybe next year.
Well, it wasn't a problem until you made up the excuse, Webb.
Well,
No,
I
I'm
said
just
you
kidding.
could-
I'm just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
said you
Trust
could
me,
have flew out Sunday and Sunday afternoon.
I would love, yeah, I would absolutely love it, but you know, priorities,
Yeah.
my friend. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I get it.
yeah,
Booty
Sunday
calls.
night I have a dinner that I have to host, and then Monday I have a
Wow.
meeting. So yeah, and they just want the president to show up at these things. I don't know why.
How dare
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. So, and they pay
Wait
me
a
for
minute.
it
That's
too.
why
so.
you have a vice president.
And a body double.
No, I got 5 seniors and 12 VPs. So
Well,
they
I
still
have
make
to,
me go.
I have to ask you, Webb, what's the name of the custard place?
Oh, it is Andy's. Well, you can't see it 'cause of the
Oh,
glare.
yeah.
Andy's Frozen Custard. They're out of Springfield, Missouri.
We have them here.
Okay, because we have a really well-known custard place here in, well, not here, but in DeKalb, Illinois, Ollie's Frozen Custard.
Mhm.
And they even and then there's Culver's too, which started
Sure.
in Wisconsin.
good.
They're all over the place now, but Ollie's
Yeah.
Frozen Custard, they actually opened up a second one in Florida, and I think that was really so he could retire there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I love going there, right
Andy-
off of
Andy-
Highway 23 in Sycamore and DeKalb.
Andy's is, I think, is here too. We got them here.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay, cool.
There's one by my house.
This sounds like a bad 70s pregnancy situation comedy, pickles and custard.
Frozen custard is the best, absolutely the best.
And if you did show titles,
Yeah, really.
And if you did show titles,
Yeah. Now this is frozen custard, not ice cream. It's normally pickles and ice
Exactly.
cream. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Well, that's true.
big difference.
That's true.
So,
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much.
thank you.
This
Thank-
I
thank
just
you,
never
live
know
stream.
what's going to happen on these shows, but
same,
um,
Underpaying some pickles.
right?
hey, I learned something real quick. There's if those of you that watch Ted Lasso, Hannah Waddington, who plays the lady who owns the soccer team.
Yes.
I came to learn this week that she was also the very mean sister on Game of Thrones, where
Yep.
she made Cersei
Really?
walk through the town. Yeah, that's the same person, same actress. So
Wow.
learn something new every day. So
She is
Well,
apparently doing Apple's Christmas special this year
Uh-huh.
instead of Mariah Carey.
she is an incredible singer.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
is.
she's-
She's done a lot of theater.
Yeah.
A lot. She's done. She sung many times on Ted Lasso too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, Dave mentioned this. I'm just going to put this out there. I absolutely loved the third season of Picard.
Yes, I did
Me too.
Absolutely
too.
loved it. I saw some detractors, but I thought it was amazing.
The best.
Yeah.
We just finished it up last night.
I really enjoyed it.
Now
a
you don't
lot.
have it on DVD yet, do you?
Not yet. I will.
I'll release it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Last 20
I-
minutes, so good.
I think Chuck's ready to end this.
no,
Yeah,
but
let's
hey,
go.
Too
no,
bad.
before you go though, for web's sake and anybody that cares, I'm throwing a link in the chat room from NAB. These are videos of some of the sessions. The one I'm bringing up because you
Brett Goldstein.
mentioned Ted Lasso is Brett Goldstein.
I totally want to
Yeah.
watch that.
Mhm.
I sat through this session just more out of curiosity than anything, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Really interesting guy, but it's surprising how much of Roy Kent is him and he is Roy Kent.
Mhm.
I heard you
but-
heard you had a few
That's
F-bombs.
funny. I feel the opposite now that I've seen him outside of that.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time with Roy Kent. It's like,
Really,
he's not Roy Kent.
No, he's a writer.
He's
Yeah.
Have you seen any
yeah,
of his
no,
stand up?
I mean,
Yeah.
he's fantastic. Yes, I have. And
So I
I've
love
seen a
his
bunch of his
stand-up.
interviews and stuff. He's hilarious. He's brilliant. But now when I see him on as Roy Kent, it's like, I don't believe that anymore. I can't suspend disbelief. It's just sort of it's like a parody or something,
Well, if you
And
haven't
what's the
heard-
other show on Apple TV that he
Shrinking.
did? Yeah,
Shrinking.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great show.
Awesome
Yeah,
show.
Absolutely great show.
If you haven't heard the story though about how he got the Roy Kent part, he tells it here,
Yeah.
and it is really, really
It's a
interesting.
wonderful story.
It is a
really
good story.
is.
I can't
Really
wait to watch
is.
that.
So yeah, it's worth the time. I mean,
Oh, I'm
'cause-
definitely going to watch this.
yeah,
It's an hour, probably well worth it.
yeah. It was. I mean, and it was honestly, it was probably the longest line of any of the feature presentations.
I
Really?
bet.
Yeah,
He's popular.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It was a very obviously a very welcoming audience, but yeah, it was really, really enjoyable. That's why when you brought it up, Webb, I thought I got to find that real quick for you. I
Thanks
think
for
you'll enjoy
sharing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hopefully we'll see you a variation on this panel sometime on next Tuesday.
Goodbye, live stream.
Okay. Yeah. Good night, live stream. Thank you for and now
Sorry.
I do